We are going to be taking our identification notes on the toy group of dogs. We want our ID notes set up with the name of the breed, health concerns, and then any other characteristics of the breed that you would like to list. All right, and so we've got our toy breeds and our ID quiz resources. We have some really interesting articles here, two about some common health concerns, but then also another article which is historic ban of breeding Old English Bulldogs and Cavalier King Charles Spaniels. And that ban just happened this past week, so I definitely encourage you to read up more about it. So we're going to go ahead and click on our Quizlet link and get started. The first breed that we are going to be looking at is the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel. These are, again, toy breeds are going to be small. So Cavalier King Charles Spaniels have prevalent issues with cardiac mitral valve disease or heart disease. They can also get juvenile cataracts. They are about 12 to 13 inches at the withers. They should be small at 13 to 18 pounds. They can live 12 to 15 years, just depending on those heart conditions and other diseases that they are able to acquire. Their coat is of medium length. They do have feathering along the ears, the chest, the legs, and tail, so you definitely need regular grooming of your Cavalier. And so here we have our Cavalier. They're very regal. They are, and you can see that brachycephalic face right there, so that smushed in face. And then they are, again, commonly we'll see heart murmurs and heart disease in those dogs. So this is the dog that in Norway has just recently banned from being able to be bred. Next we have our Chihuahua. Or Chihuahua, as you'll hear it said. It's an easy way to remember how to spell Chihuahua. So we have our Chihuahua. Health concerns, definitely patella luxation, which is when your kneecaps are popping in and out of place. We have cardiac disease, also eye disease. When we think about big eyes and a small head, there's not a lot of places where your eyes can go. They can be very small, 6 to 9 inches at the withers. Weight is anywhere from 3 to 6 pounds. Lifespan on a Chihuahua, because they're so small, if you're able to get a well-bred Chihuahua, you can last 12 to even 20 years. Their coat can be smooth or it can be a long coat. So here we have a long coat Chihuahua. And then we have that short coat Chihuahua, and you can see those big ears with the very large eyes as well. Next, we have our miniature Pinschers, or your min pin, as you'll hear them referenced. So miniature Pinscher, again, we still have that patella luxation. We also have a leg calf pruthice and demodectic mange, so they are a little bit more apt to getting that demodectic mite infestation. Their size is 10 to 12.5 inches at the withers, about 8 to 10 pounds. Lifespan is 12 to 16 years old, and they have a short coat. So here is a chocolate min pin, but we can also see a min pin in a traditional coat of what we think of as a Doberman Pinscher. All right, so here is that min pin. Next, we have a Papillon. Papillon, a great way to remember Papillon is Papillon is going to be butterfly, or the swallowtail butterflies. So we want to think about butterfly ears is what their ears are going to look like. So they do have eye disease, patella luxation again, cardiac disease, size 8 to 11 inches. Their weight should only be about 5 to 10 pounds, lifespan 14 to 16 years. Their coat is going to be long hair, feathering along and within the ears, legs, and full tail. The hair is short and close on the skull. Regular grooming is required. So these are those dogs that really need their ears cleaned, and you can see how their face almost looks as though it could be butterfly wings, right? So that's why it's a Papillon. So it's derived from that swallowtail, that butterfly, looking at the wings. And then all that long hair and the feathering, so very wispy fur. Next, we have a Pekinese. So your Pekinese, again, eye disease, because you're a little bit brachycephalic on that. You have got super large eyes, intolerance to heat due to their double coat and just the massive amounts of hair. They do have an obstructive airway due to their brachycephalic nature, and then their size is 6 to 9 inches, weight is up to 14 pounds, lifespan 12 to 14 years, and a very long coat. So here is your Pekinese, and you can see that wrinkle, that picture. That dog almost looks like it has an inverted nasal passage, right? So that dog is going to have severe difficult breathing. Next, we have the Pomeranian. Pomeranians, again, patellar luxation, because we're so small, the patellas just lock. They pop in and out of place. We also can see alopecia, which is abnormal hair loss. The size is only 6 to 7 inches at the withers. Weight should only be about 3 to 7 pounds. Lifespan is 12 to 16 years. We do have a nice double thick coat. Their hair is going to stand out from the body, so they'll look like a poof ball. They have short hair on the ears, and regular grooming, of course, is required for these. So here we have our Pomeranian. They look like little pom-poms, right? So that's your Pomeranian. Again, if you're going to keep all that fur on your dog, you want to make sure that you're not keeping it out in the heat too long. You can see that smushed and brachycephalic face is going to make it more difficult to breathe, along with all that fur. Next we have is our toy poodle. Your toy poodle is going to characteristically have some of the same issues that your standard poodles will have, which is going to be that von Willebrand's disease, idiopathic epilepsy as well. We're going to see eye disease, leg perthis, and luxating patellas. Size 10 inches and under at the withers. Weight is 4 to 6 pounds. Lifespan 10 to 18 years old. That coat can be curly or corded. Regular clipping and or grooming will be required. You'll notice that the weight of these animals should be very low. Unfortunately, many of the owners and toy breeds, because they like to eat, they're so cute and cuddly and we just want to feed them all the things, tend to be obese. So that is another concern that we'll have. And pugs are notorious for that, right? So pugs will have obstructive airway due to their brachycephalic syndrome, eye diseases, hip dysplasia, also pug dog encephalitis, or it's CNS, central nervous system inflammation. Their size is about 10 to 13 inches at the withers. They should only be 14 to 18 pounds. So pugs that are 20 plus pounds, definitely obese, which is adding to the hip problems and the back issues that they can have. Lifespans anywhere from 13 to 15 years. Their coat is very short and very fine. So here is a roly-poly-oly pug. We see that very wrinkly brachycephalic face, again almost an inverted looking nose. Oftentimes you'll see pugs with their tongue sticking out all the time, breathing through their mouth because they're unable to breathe through that airway, where it's more obstructed for them, so it's more difficult. So that is going to be your pug. Next we have is our Shih Tzu. So your Shih Tzu has brachycephalic ocular syndrome. With their eyes being so large, their nose is smushed in. There's not a lot of places for things to go. They also have their obstructed airway due to the brachycephalic syndrome. They are about 8 to 11 inches at the withers. Their weight is 8 to 11 pounds. Lifespan is 10 to 16 years. Their coat is long, dense. They do have a double coat, so you definitely need to make sure you are keeping them very well groomed, either short or just brushing and grooming them regularly. So here's our Shih Tzu. We often think about them with that little poof at the top, and that's to keep all that hair out of their eyes. And you can see that bit of that push in. There's not much of a muzzle there for them. And then there is a Shih Tzu with a short cut. And you can see all that tearing. These are not necessarily old dogs. They just have a lot of tearing in their eyes, as they have some different ocular issues. Next, we have the Yorkshire Terrier, or Yorkies, as you'll hear them called. So the Yorkshire Terriers, we see quite commonly patella luxation. They're very fragile, so because they are so small, just like your Chihuahua, they can be very fragile. So they could even jump off the bed the wrong way and hurt themselves. So their size is 7 to 8 inches at the withers. They should only be 7 pounds, and they should not be rotund. You should still see a definition between the thorax and the abdominal cavity, and oftentimes this gets lost with the amount of food that we give those animals. Lifespan is anywhere from 11 to 15 years. Their coat is long, fine, a silky texture. Regular clipping definitely needed, and or grooming. So people will have them cut short. That's a little bit of a shorter cut, or they'll have it full length all the way to the ground, and some people will even have it cut shorter than that. So that is your Yorkshire Terrier. And that concludes the toy groups.